Hi guys, it's Lara. Thank you so much for watching and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will share with you my warm-up routine. I have already shown you a few glimpses of my warm-up routine in one of my vlogs. However, today's video is going to be in real time, just in case you would want to warm up with me together. However, please keep in mind I'm not a professional. I'm not saying this is the correct way how to warm up. I'm just sharing this. But this is a routine that works perfectly for me, and it's basically a routine I'm doing before any workout. So if you want to know more about that, then please keep watching. The first thing that I'm always doing is a few half circles with my head. Then I always turn my head from side to side a couple of times. And I also like tipping my head from shoulder to shoulder a few times. Then I always grab my head with one arm and pull it towards the shoulder, and I always make sure that the opposite shoulder is staying down. And of course, I do the same thing for the other side. Next, I always grab the back of my head and I'm pulling my head towards my chest while I slightly round my back, just a little bit. And then I always start circling my shoulders to the front a couple of times. And then I do the circles in the opposite direction. Next, I put my hands on my hips and I'm pushing my shoulders to the sides. I'm trying to keep my hips as stable as possible, so only the upper body is supposed to move here. And then I switch a few times between rounding my back and bending it. The next exercise are breast circles. This is basically a combination between bending and rounding my back, only I'm doing it in a circular motion. And I always do it towards one side a couple of times and then I switch in the opposite direction. Next, I sway my hips from side to side a few times. And then I always do about 10 hip circles in each direction. And the next exercise could be described as writing 8 with my hips. So if you would look at me from the top, my hips would be making a shape of an 8. And I'm doing it also in both directions. Now tipping my hips to the front and back a couple of times. It's basically like pushing your tailbone up and then back. A few hip circles, of course, in both directions. Next, I like standing on one leg and circling with my bent leg inwards a couple of times and then outwards, and I do this for both sides. And then I always do a few plie squats, and for whatever reason I like waving with my arms when I'm doing that. Next, I like squatting from side to side. I always do 20 of these in total, so 10 for each side. I have to admit the first few are always weird and painful and difficult, but once I limber up a little bit, it gets easier. I always stay down with the last one and stretch for a while for a few breaths, and then I switch to the other side and hold this stretch also for a couple of breaths. Then I stand wide and try to reach as far back as possible. And after that, I always hold to each leg for a few additional breaths. Then I reach through once more because that motivates me a lot, because I usually notice that I limbered up and I can reach a little bit further, so this is for me personally always a very important step. Once I am done with the first part of my warm-up, I also like including one sun salutation into my warm-up routine. So first I reach up and down a couple of times, I breathe in and out, and then I hold my hands in prayer position. While I do that, I try to let go of all of my thoughts. I'm trying to focus on my body without judging it, just noticing what's happening inside of my body And I'm also focusing on my breathing because that helps me to relax both in my body and in my mind. And at the end of this procedure, I always do the Om sound. And then I continue with the typical sun salutation move. So first I bend down. Actually, here my back was supposed to be straight, but I went further down. I didn't notice it. And I always hold each pose for about 5 breaths. Then I bend down. I always grab with my hands underneath my feet and try to stretch out the back of my legs, again for about 5 breaths. The next pose is the plank. You can jump backwards or step backwards. I always choose to step backwards because I have a little doggy and sometimes he's behind me and I'm always afraid I might hurt him, so I rather do it very slowly. From plank I go into a chaturanga. I hold it shortly. I can't hold it for 5 breaths yet. And then I go into the upwards looking dog and hold it again for a few breaths. Next, down dog. I like twisting the down dog because that way you stretch again a little bit different areas, and of course I do it for both sides. Then I do the warrior pose. I think that this pose can be called side angle. In Sanskrit is Parsva Konasana. I hope I'm saying this right. Next, I go always into the triangle pose. Then I bend forwards. I have looked it up. This pose is called Prasarita Padottanasana. And then I turn to the side and I like stretching towards my front leg again a little bit because that feels so great. From this pose I go always back to plank, hold plank shortly, then I dive into chaturanga, go up into upwards looking dog, then I push back into the downwards looking dog and hold it shortly, and then I jump or step forwards, bend down again and stretch the back of my legs for a while. After a few breaths, I reach up, breathe deeply in and out, and then I repeat the sun salutation for the other side. So again, this should be the straight back where I went too far down. I hold it for about 5 breaths. And then I bend down again and hold again for about 5 breaths and stretch the back of my legs. I switch to plank for a few breaths. Chaturanga. Upwards looking dog. Downwards looking dog. I twist the dog again and hold for one side for about 5 breaths, and then I switch to the other side. Now the warrior pose, this time for the other leg. I have to admit, I forgot to film the other leg, so that's why I had to include the same clip again, but I hope it's still helpful. And then again, the side angle. Triangle pose. Forward bend, or also called Prasarita Padottanasana. And then again, turning sidewards and stretching towards the leg in the front. Coming back to plank. Chaturanga down, diving into upwards looking dog, and then pushing back into the downwards looking dog. jump or step to the front of the mat, bending down again, holding my toes with my hands and stretching the back of my legs for a couple of breaths. I reach up, breathe in and out, and I always end this with hands in prayer position. So that is my warm-up routine that I'm doing before any workout. Sometimes I do a shorter version of the sun salutation, but other than that, it's always the same. It just works so well for me. And I hope that you liked today's video. If you did, don't forget to give the video a thumb up, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you didn't yet. That would be awesome. As usual, I have listed a lot of stuff down below in the description box. You will find there links to all of my Instagram accounts and to my other channels, affiliate links, discount codes, the music that I have used today, and I have also listed down below a few videos or playlists that might be interesting for you. And thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye!